And Michael Joseph, the CEO of Safaricom PLC, joins me live now tonight. Thank you for making time for us today, Michael. So why Peter?
Okay, I can be very facetious and say why not, but I think we went through a long, extended recruitment process to recruit the next CEO of Safaricom, and I think we wanted to be really careful about who we chose, because we also wanted the board and the shareholders wanted to have a Kenyan there. We had to cast the net very widely, and we went through a long search process. It took us nearly a year. And eventually the best candidate to emerge from the pack was Peter. To say that he has deep experience in multinationals. He's worked in Nigeria, he's worked in Ghana, of course he's worked in Kenya, now he's heading up Europe. He has multinational experience. He's in a big organization like Diageo. And so I think he was the right choice for the job.
Would you say that the board then gave into the demands to have a Kenyan at the helm of Safaricom?
I wouldn't say it as he gave into demands. I think it's right. I mean, personally, I think it's the right thing to do. After 19 years of Safaricom, I think a Kenyan should be running Safaricom. And I think it's just a natural progression, I think, more than giving into demands. I mean, there is pressure, of course. There always was pressure that we should have a Kenyan. Why not a Kenyan? And some people say, why should we have a Kenyan? Why not just have the best person for the job? But I think this is the right time now to take a Kenyan and to find the right Kenyan for the job. Because Safaricom is not just an ordinary company. Safaricom has some specific DNA. It's a big company. It touches every facet of Kenyan society. It has it's not just a voice and data and SMS company, financial services company, and also touches people in different ways through our CSR program. So I think he's the right man.
All right. So, of course, this comes on the back of your 19th birthday, Safaricom turning 19, and unveiling, what is your new messaging, being simple, being transparent, being honest. Would this be an admission of perhaps some failure, in the past 19 years? Were you not simple? Were you not transparent? Were you not honest before yesterday?
Yeah, an interesting take. No, I don't say the last 19 years, for sure not. I think what has happened is because Safaricom has been so successful, both financially, professionally, in terms of subscriber numbers, in terms of revenue, because we've been so successful, we have tended to not listen to our customers and become big, fat and happy, if I could put it that way. Mm-hmm. And I think that, to some extent we've sort of moved a little bit away from our customers, lost touch with our customers. I don't think we can say we were the opposite of simple, transparent and honest. I think when I came on board after Bob passed on, I saw an opportunity now, before we put in a new CEO, to reset the direction of Safaricom and to think, what was our subscribers telling us? Through the NPS score, through customer surveys, they said these things, that we were complex, sometimes difficult to deal with. I don't say dishonest, but they thought that sometimes at Safaricom was stealing their bundles. So I thought this is an opportunity to take a brand new look of how we deal with our customers. And that's why we came up, not just a campaign. I just want to say it's not just a campaign. Mm-hmm. It's a new way of doing business with our subscribers and completely rethinking the model of how we do it.
Right. Speaking of bundles, let's get into that one a little bit, because then you unveiled data without expiry. Perhaps a response to that, as we say, Munakula bundles. But there's still some complaints that the data without expiry is actually more expensive than the data that is with expiry, and that perhaps it wasn't communicated properly, that this is actually a tariff and it's not,
No, I think it's completely the opposite. I mean, I think maybe whenever you launch something like this, there's always somebody who says it's not as we say, but I think it's definitely cheaper. I've seen some reports, but it just depends on what you want to buy and how you want to buy it. But if you look at all the tariff bands, and we examined it very carefully when we did this, most of our customers top up on a daily basis for data. They buy it in 50 shilling increments, and we've seen that. So we wanted to, even if you look at the 50 shilling increment, it's now actually you're buying. It's much, the amount of data you get is much more for 50 shillings than what you got before. And even at the high end, if you look at the high end, because people said, we penalize the high end, even that is cheaper than before. So overall, It's definitely cheaper than before. But I want to emphasize it's value for money. Data without expiry is unique. I mean, I don't think there's many countries in the world who offer data without expiry.
Ghana at least does it.
Ghana just launched last week, in fact. And actually, it's coincidental, I must say. I'm sorry it was coincidental. I thought that we would be a market leader. But it's not just not just having data without expiry or even voice without expiry. It's just that you can buy what you want. If you want to buy 20 shillings worth of data, you can buy 20 or 21 or 65 or whatever it may be. And then you can choose when you see, once you've said, I want to buy 65, how much data do you get? And then you can decide, I want it or I don't want it.
Okay, there have been calls for a separation of sorts of the business. I mean, M-Pesa being what it is and, entering into the space of fintech and still having your SMS and your voice calls. And that, the communications authority is not able to regulate the fintech side of things and M-Pesa. What is your reaction to that? Should there be a split and have these as two separate entities and remove M-Pesa from, the essence of Safaricom, which is communication?
I don't see the point, quite honestly. If we didn't have voice and data, I mean, if you have to, we have to look back. If we didn't have voice and data, we would not be able to have M-Pesa. In the early days, in the first, even the first 10 years of M-Pesa, or so it's the first 5 years of M-Pesa, we didn't make any money from M-Pesa. Voice and data subsidized it. And I think it still continues to be that voice and data is still our main business. M-Pesa is, okay, now it's successful. I don't think there's any value in separating it unless you have an intention that you have one mobile money platform for everybody in Kenya. Then there might be some merit. But just to separate it, to punish Safaricom, I don't see the point. And I also want to say this because it's been said now, even recently as yesterday, to say that Safaricom is still dominant. I mean, I heard a report even on your TV channel this evening. Safaricom is not dominant. Safaricom is big. But why are we big? And you have to examine, why are we big? It's not because we got some special favors, we did something different. We actually started 6 months later than our nearest competitor in 2000. And I remember the date vividly. Is what we have done is we have invested. If you just compare us and our nearest competitors, we have invested maybe 10 times more than our nearest competitor, or maybe even 100 times more. I don't want to quote the figures in case somebody calls me out on it. But it's a matter of investment. And we've invested an enormous amount of money in our network, in our agent network. I mean, look at the agent network as an example. Right. We have nearly 170,000 agents, M-Pesa agents, in the country. Our nearest competitor has about 10,000. We've invested, and that's why we're successful. Where do you see the future of the industry and Safaricom in it? It's now communications, it's now M-Pesa, there's Fuliza, you're extending credit to customers. Where does a company like Safaricom go from here? What do the next 19 years, if at all, look like? And where do you see the industry? Because we're now seeing your competitors are also merging, coming together. What do you see as a future for the telecommunications industry? Obviously, voice is probably going to be flat, or start to flatten out, because you can do more voice on data than you can just on voice. I think the big thing is going to be more data, more usage for data, but also going into new areas of in the country, like farming, agriculture, medical, insurance, perhaps more banking products. I think we still continue to grow. IoT is the next big thing. Internet over internet. It will be the next big thing of measuring things, of monitoring thousands and thousands of devices. I think this is going to be the next big thing going forward. I don't think we're going to grow as much as we grew in the first 10 years, we grow in the next 10 years. But I certainly think we will continue to grow. All right. I have one last question for you. You are at the helm of two companies that are so key to the country's economy, Kenya Airways and Safaricom, and both of them at seemingly different ends of the financial spectrum. One is doing quite well, the largest in East Africa, and another is struggling. How do you split your mind? How do you split your time? Do you sleep one day and wake up the next day as the chair of KQ? Do you talk to us about handling these two companies. It's quite difficult. I mean, I didn't choose to be CEO of Safaricom again. It happened in circumstances. But it's a time management thing. I don't sleep too much. I start very early in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I get back at about 8 o'clock at night. It's just a time management thing. I mean, I have devoted a lot more time to Safaricom in the last 3 months than I have to Kenya Airways. Now that Peter has been appointed, I think it will give me room and space to go back and to focus on Kenya Airways, which, as you say, is at the other end of the spectrum. Some people have said jokingly, why don't you just merge the two? Ideal, you know. But I think that's probably not possible. So I think, yeah, it's just a time management thing. But, you know, the challenge is that I have success of Safaricom as my legacy and Bob's legacy. And now I have Kenya Airways. And now people say, well, you did such a great job at Safaricom. You can just do such a great job at Kenya Airways.
Do you feel
it's quite hard to live up to that expectation. Right. But I certainly want to try, because I believe, and I just say this here on your program, right? Kenya Airways is not just another company. Kenya Airways should be seen as a strategic asset of Kenya. And we should use it that way. And we should position it that way, not just as a loss-making company, public company. It should be positioned as a strategic asset of Kenya and leveraged that way. And that's my objective, is to make sure that happens, not just to save it, but to make it thrive.
Okay, thank you. Michael Joseph, who's the CEO of Safaricom, right